You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, completely paralyzed by something that has not even happened yet. Your heart is racing. Your mind is running through a dozen catastrophic scenarios about your job, your relationship, your bank account. You are entirely safe in this exact moment, yet you feel like you are fighting for your life. Why do we do this? Why do we let invisible ghosts ruin our actual reality, while a rare few can stand in the middle of a literal disaster and not even blink? There is a glitch in your mental operating system. It is a glitch that forces you to pay interest on a debt you do not even owe. But there is a patch for this. A way to reprogram your mind so that the things that currently crush you actually become your greatest source of power. It goes against everything you have been taught about success and comfort. Look at your daily life. You spend days dreading a conversation, imagining the worst possible outcome. You rehearse the argument in the shower. You lose sleep over a phantom conflict. Then, when the actual moment arrives, it is completely ordinary. A minor bump. You tortured yourself for nothing. A brilliant thinker from ancient Rome once observed that human beings have a tragic habit of magnifying their miseries, suffering 1,000 times in their own heads before the real world even touches them. We anticipate grief, and by doing so we invite it into our present. We blench and retreat at rumors, acting like soldiers who abandon their camp just because they saw a cloud of dust raised by stampeding cattle. What this means for you is that your brain is a brilliant storyteller, but it writes terrible tragedies. You are letting your imagination hijack your nervous system. You are bleeding before you are even cut. Here is what you can try today. When you feel that familiar spike of anxiety about tomorrow's meeting or next week's bills, stop and ask yourself one simple question. Is there anything physically harming me right in this exact second? Strip away the past. Strip away the future. Look at the immediate present. You will almost always find that right now, you are perfectly fine. But maybe you think the solution to this anxiety is just to get more secure. If you just had more money in the bank, a better title, a nicer house, you would finally exhale. You are wrong. Comfort is actually making you weaker. This is the great trap. You build a fortress of expensive coffee, climate-controlled cars, and perfectly curated routines, thinking it will protect you from the world. Instead, it turns you into a hostage. The moment the internet drops or the air conditioning breaks, you lose your mind. Your threshold for misery is so low that a minor inconvenience feels like a tragedy. To become unbreakable, you have to do something entirely counterintuitive. You have to invite hardship in on purpose. The most resilient people in history did not hide from poverty or discomfort. They rehearsed it. They would deliberately spend a few days every month eating the cheapest, most tasteless food they could find. They would wear rough, scratchy clothes. They would sleep on the hard floor. They did this to look their deepest fears in the eye and realize the worst-case scenario is actually completely survivable. What this means for you is that your fear of losing everything is controlling your life. Until you prove to yourself that you can survive with nothing, you will never truly be free to enjoy everything. Here is the action you can take. Pick the next 3 days and drastically downgrade your life. Eat nothing but plain rice and beans. Wear the exact same simple shirt. Endure a freezing cold shower. When your mind complains, remind yourself that this is the exact condition you spend your whole life terrified of falling into. And notice that you are still breathing. Now what happens when the disaster isn't a drill? What happens when life genuinely hits you? Hard, with no warning. Most people shatter. They ask, why me? They search for someone to blame. But there is a totally different way to process chaos, borrowed from the highest levels of military special operations. It requires a radical shift in perspective. When a mission gets canceled, when funding falls through, when you get injured, when a project fails, you look at the wreckage and you say one word: good. You accept the reality immediately, without a single second of self-pity. And you pivot to the advantage. Did you get passed over for the promotion? Good. More time to hone your skills. Did your car break down? Good. A chance to practice staying calm under pressure. Did a relationship end? Good. You learned what you actually need in a partner. What this means for you is that you possess the ultimate alchemy. You can instantly neutralize any bad situation by aggressively mining it for the hidden benefit. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become an absolute predator of opportunity. Try this today. The very next time something frustrates you, no matter how small, whether it is a spilled drink or a rude email, do not sigh. Do not complain. Just say, good. Notice how it instantly shuts off the emotional reaction and forces your brain to look for the next logical step. But even if you master your emotions and your fears, there is another trap you are likely falling into right now. You look at your life and you see a dozen paths you want to take. You want to build a business, travel the world, get in elite physical shape, and learn a new language. You try to move in every direction at once, and when you inevitably stall out, you feel completely paralyzed. There is an old fable about a donkey standing exactly halfway between a pile of hay and a bucket of water. He looks left to the hay, then right to the water. He cannot decide which one to go for first. He stands there frozen by indecision, until he eventually falls over and dies of both hunger and thirst. The donkey lacked the foresight to realize he could simply drink the water first, and then go eat the hay. You are acting like that donkey. By demanding that all your goals happen simultaneously this week, you guarantee that none of them happen at all. You get frustrated because you are thinking in terms of days instead of decades. What this means for you is that your impatience is actually destroying your progress. You can achieve almost everything you want, but you need the discipline to string your goals out sequentially instead of cramming them into a single chaotic month. Here is the action you can take right now. Look at the 3 big goals causing you the most stress. Pick one to dominate your focus for the next 6 months, and explicitly give yourself permission to completely ignore the other 2 until next year. If you can do that, you will free up the one resource that actually dictates the quality of your existence: your time. You are fiercely protective of your bank account, your car, your physical property. If someone tries to take a few dollars from you, you fight back fiercely. Yet you hand over your most valuable asset to anyone who asks, without a second thought. You allow casual acquaintances to drain your hours. You let mindless scrolling steal your evenings. You let pointless obligations eat away your weekends. We guard our material wealth with alarm systems and heavy doors, but we leave the vault of our time wide open for anyone to plunder. We live as if our supply of days is infinite, throwing away our present moments while we bank on a future that is completely out of our control. We are always getting ready to live, but we never just live. What this means for you is that you are actively bankrupting your own existence. You are trading non-renewable life force for things that do not matter, treating your days as if they are cheap and endless. Here is the action to take today. Audit your calendar. Look at the commitments you have made for the upcoming week, and brutally cut the ones that do not serve your core purpose. If a social engagement or a task feels like an empty obligation, cancel it. Reclaim those hours. Treat your time exactly like what it is, the only currency you can never earn back. You have the tools now. You know that your fears are mostly illusions spun by a restless mind. You know that comfort is a trap, and that voluntarily facing hardship is the only way to build an ironclad soul. You know that every disaster is just raw material for a new advantage. You know that rushing everything accomplishes nothing. And you know that your time is bleeding away while you wait for your real life to begin. But knowing is entirely useless. You have been gathering information for years, reading, watching, nodding along with profound ideas. Yet tomorrow morning when you wake up, you will have a choice to make. You can either stay comfortable, or you can step into the arena. The world is waiting to see what you choose.
Follow Psych. Your brain will thank you.